Welcome back to the TNC Podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Eli, and I don't know where Ryan is today. He said he didn't want to do the podcast anymore, so I guess it's just me.
Welcome back to the TNC
Oh my
Podcast,
God,
everyone. It's
you
your
just
host,
gotta ruin
Ryan,
it
your
again.
only host.
You always do this.
You thought I was missing. He thought he got me. He thought he successfully assassinated me. It doesn't happen like that. All right?
Not yet.
Your assassin... Listen, bro. Can you hire a better one?
I didn't hire one. It was me. I just haven't carried it out yet.
That explains a lot.
I've been procrastinating. I was like, assassinate Ryan today or do the podcast.
You're trying to stalk me and follow... You're trying to stalk me and follow me around. You're really bad at it. You're the only one wearing a black ski mask in the surrounding area that I'm in. And you're always peeking around corners
You saw me, dude?
Yeah, and whenever I see you, you're like...
Now I gotta buy a new ski mask. God damn it, Ryan.
I literally saw you in a ski mask outside my house in your car.
Okay, now I gotta get a new car, too.
Can you give your old one to me?
Do you know how expensive that ski mask was?
Do you know how expensive a car
29
is?
cents on Temu. How are you doing today, Ryan? I guess I didn't ask that.
I'm having a depresso espresso day,
Sorry, I didn't.
It's one of those days. Oh, you're just laughing at my sadness.
No,
That's okay.
no. It's
fine.
This is the third time you've said it. That's why.
It's okay. I've needed new friends for a while.
What is that supposed to mean?
Did I stutter, or are you just bad at listening?
Oh, it must. Wow. I was not expecting that. I was not ready for that. I
wasn't ready for what I had to say either.
You laughed before me.
Yeah, dude. I was like, did I just say that? No, I'm depressed.
It's all good.
It's one of those sad days. Nothing bad happened today either. Yeah. It's just I just woke up and I'm like, days. I just feel like shit.
Not
shit.
Like shit.
Yeah, not motivated. I laid in my bed most of the day before this recording. Granted, I just got done with my work week.
Yeah.
So I am tired and resting, but it's just it's one of those days where I contemplate life and I'm like, oh my God, what have I done?
I feel it. Sometimes.
And we're working to make the life better.
Yeah. But yeah. You got to remember the good days that you do have. On your bad days, you can think back at them and be like, oh, that was 2 days ago. It'll all work out, everything. Firm believer of everything happens for a reason. So
I'm trying. I
mean, being depressed should not be just a thing that we have to deal with. But it is.
I mean, it's a thing I've dealt with for a long time since being a teenager and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where
it all stemmed from?
It's where a lot of trauma from my childhood kind of started settling in.
Yeah,
I couldn't really have this childlike wonderment about the world anymore because I started thinking more deeply about the things that have happened and then I wanted to run away from those things. And yada.
Things that happened to you were finally you had that realization of, or was it? Was it more
I don't even know if it was it was more gradual, and I don't even know if it was me thinking oh wait, all these things are terrible.
Yeah.
I think it was more I started to feel the effects of those things, because I don't think I consciously was able to acknowledge everything that was wrong, but I knew I wanted to get away from it. I felt hurt from it.
Yeah.
So I needed some sort of way to escape.
Okay.
And,
I get that though.
But then when your escape becomes your life, then it becomes also unhealthy. So I kind of went, I was going on an unhealthy track, and I'm like, oh, let me change that a little bit, and then back to another unhealthy track. There's like 2 out of 3 paths I could have chosen, and I chose both wrong ones.
Yeah. No, it's a tough time in the life, right?
Yeah. I'm not trying to be a depressed fuck this episode. It's just like it's just one of those days.
Yeah, no,
It's just one of
I
those
get it.
days.
I get it.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Uh, uh I'm doing great. Yeah. We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Those are very two different ways to say you're doing great. I'm doing great. Well, I'm doing great.
I'm doing all right. I just, recently I just feel like I'm just constantly grinding, which is not inherently a bad thing at all.
Hopefully, you don't have to do that forever. Like, hopefully, the grinding is working towards like
Yeah, it's all working
a better
towards
life.
a goal. I mean, I've been, grinding for years now, but I'm just, I don't know, trying to move up in the world, and it's a very slow process, especially with the state of the country.
It's tough out here, bro.
it's
It's tough out here.
it's just like rough, like looking towards the future, or
Is it
not.
hard to look forward to things?
It's not hard to like look forward to things, because like I can look forward to like a holiday. I can look forward to a birthday. I can look forward to like getting lunch with a friend. I can look forward to
For like
talking
big
to you,
changes
but
in your
like,
life.
if I'm saying like, "Oh, can I look forward to buying a house?"
I was gonna
Not
say, yeah, like
not
the big changes in your life. Can you really look forward to those?
I mean, like, I wouldn't say I'm technically like looking forward to them. I'm just kind of hopeful that everything falls into place and I am able to do that, because as it stands now, neither of us are. I mean, even if we combined our income,
Oh
we would
no, there's no way.
we
There's
still
no
would
way.
not be able to get a even a $200,000 house, and
Yeah,
the
it's very tough to be like a single person living in your own space, paying your own bills, one income household. Like it's very tough, and especially at like,
no, it is, and
the way the world is with inflation and stuff like that, living is just
it's
the cost of living is so
the
high.
cost of living is so high, and the reality of the world is that most people in our generation are just not going to be able to afford housing, or buy a home. They can rent, but again, with inflation, and I mean, it's not necessarily just inflation, but there's a lot of other factors that are involved in the housing
Oh
market.
yeah.
But the price points that they are in now are affecting renting as well. So it's becoming it's like, we're going down this path, like everything's being increasing, or everything is being increased every year,
But
every month.
the
Very
pay
small,
of
but our wage and our salary is the same as it was 3 years ago.
yeah, like everything else is more expensive, but then we get less money
Mhm.
to buy those
Mhm.
things. So then those things will not be bought.
Those things will not be bought,
And
and
there's a lot of other like factors into it too, like buying a house. A lot of people buy houses to make them into like Airbnbs
yeah,
and to make money
yeah.
off of it.
Or they buy them to rent them out to like 3 or 4 tenants and make, an extra 2 to 3 to 4 grand a month of passive
Yeah,
income of just owning a place.
and like companies like we used to make a lot more houses to keep up with the growth in population,
Exactly.
but we make so many less houses now
Yeah.
that each individual house now is valued
Is
higher
valued higher because
because there's so
there's not
many
enough.
houses that need to be built that aren't being
Yeah.
built.
And like, especially when you get into those like inner city areas, there's even like there are more houses to be purchased, but they're all out of the price range of people who are able to rent. So they get bought up by companies who flip them and sell them for 4 times the profit, and then someone buys that and flips it and sells it for another 4 times the profit. So it just
Yeah.
continually gets worse and worse as Americans to live a happy, sustainable life. And I think that's what I'm trying to, touch on when I'm talking about like looking towards the future. Like I'm hopeful that my life and your life and like the lives of those around me works out, and like I am able to live like a happy, enjoyable, and adventurous life in the future. But
I think you
it's
will.
it's
I think you
it's
will.
it's not a certainty. Like
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now. um
There's a
but
lot of easily avoidable
yeah,
struggles on the way to a good life for the everyday person.
very much so.
That if there was more care put into the country and decision making and stuff like that, if there was more, because the higher ups in like Washington and stuff like that,
Hmm.
they're so disconnected from the everyday person that are struggling just to pay
Oh,
rent, just
because
to do their
they
thing.
haven't dealt with that in 20 years.
Yeah, they don't know the struggles and how bad it's getting because they're not experiencing it. They're rich and they have everything they've ever wanted.
Hmm.
They have all the power they've ever wanted and craved.
Yeah, it's just
So
it's
it's very hard for for us to rely on them to make the good
to make
decisions
the
when they
changes
don't
that
know
we
anything.
need, when all of the changes that are being made is for the benefit of them.
Yeah,
And that's what it boils down to. It's not, our
it's always the
our
1%.
government is not trying to make a better life for us. It's They're making a better life for them so that they can steal
For the
more money
1%.
from us.
Yeah,
um
it's all about money. It's all about greed, and that
it's really fucked. But a really depressing start to this episode, Ryan.
you're
um
having such a good time here. No,
um
I do enjoy even like talking about these like sadder topics. I do like going in depth on them because like
it's real.
where else do we? It's real, and where else do we really express these thoughts that we have about it? I like having a place where I can talk about the things that I'm thinking about and the things that bother me.
Definitely, definitely.
So this is healthy. This is healthy. It's just like, oh, this is sad.
Yeah.
Just like the stuff we're probably going to talk about today as well.
Yeah, I know. It's just
But I have some like positive spins to put on it because I mean not
not
everything
everything is
is
bad.
bad.
No, it most certainly is not.
I think we're in better situations than we were in, you and I.
Yes, I agree.
I think both of us were probably in some really toxic situations
Like
and we're
previously in
learning
our life, yeah,
previously in our life with relationships or financially.
or even family, yeah.
It's
Just
well, that goes into
oh yeah,
relationships, friendships, family,
yeah. You're right. You're
everything.
right.
Like I think we have more independence now.
Hmm.
We're learning from our past, so those are positive things that we can really highlight. But speaking of the past, today's episode
Yeah. What
is called the after school special.
the after school special? Be more excited. Be more excited. The after school special.
Today is the after school fucking special, bro.
There we go. There we go.
It's the after school
What
special.
is the after school special, Ryan?
The after school special is where we talk about our past and what we did outside of school when we were in
Like
school.
legitimately
It's
after school?
legitimately
Could it
after
have been
school.
before school?
Shut up. No. No, it's just what we did outside of school to maybe escape or because of the pressures that we've felt, maybe self-imposed or because of the world. Um,
Or like,
I really want to get into this because this was a big changing point in my
mhm.
life, and I think your life too. We both had different reasons for wanting to get out of the house,
Oh yeah.
but we did.
Yeah, no, we did. We very much so.
I felt like we constantly grinded as like teenagers,
Mhm.
like especially in like those high school years where we like, you could have a job, I could drive around in the car or
Mhm.
something like that, or my friends would have a car. Those were like very formative years in our
Oh,
lives.
I agree. I think, like, I feel like that was my, it was, I've had many, points over the years where Like I've had moments of realization of like where I'm going and what I'm doing. Like the high school years were very busy for me. I didn't feel like I had
Yeah.
a whole lot of, I don't know, free time, but that was also the point um of, me doing something else other than just going to school.
No, I completely relate to that.
Yeah.
I did not. First year of high school, I did have some free
Yeah.
time, but then every year after that, the ramping up in like busyness, um, just kept going. Especially in like junior, senior year,
Yeah.
it was like, when do you have time to like do
What
anything?
did you do junior and senior year? Why do you bring up those 2 years specifically?
So freshman year and sophomore year, kind of, because sophomore year I did join like some extracurriculars. I didn't really do much extracurriculars because I was trying to be a
Oh,
musician.
okay. Yeah.
I was trying to be an instrumental musician. So I was in band, I played trombone. I ramped up the amount of things I was doing after school, the amount of groups I was in
Hmm.
over the years. So, freshman year I did like jazz band, and I didn't do marching band or anything like that. I had a couple after school rehearsals for the symphonic band class that I had,
Okay.
so, and some concerts. And then sophomore year was kind of the time I decided that I wanted to go to music school.
Okay. That was sophomore year of high school. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
And what's funny is it was because I was really inspired by some of the seniors. And that's also when I joined marching
Okay.
band. So I really
Did you
got a friend group
I
finally.
gotcha. So like you met all the seniors and you could like see them like, you know, practice and
They were,
stuff. So you were like seeing where they were in life and you were like, I think I want
well,
to.
they were all really
That's
good,
good.
but none of them, there were no like senior trombone players,
Okay.
right? Literally, it was just me and my friends that were basically like holding up the trombone section all through high
Oh,
school
wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
and middle school. Yeah, it was like we were the only consistent ones, and it was
Would
always
you have like
him first chair,
little
me second
would you
chair.
have would you have like little people join and then leave, or was it just basically
Yeah. So
you
when we
two?
got into the higher group, there was like, I think, one person there, and then after we got there, he realized like he can't really keep up. So it's
Oh.
like, okay, not even that he was bad. It was just like we put in more like effort,
You guys
you
were like
know.
on a different level than he was.
Yeah.
And
Again,
not even
like,
trying to
he
inflate
was.
your ego. You're just like,
No, it's just like we practiced
yeah.
more. That was it.
Yeah.
We put in some more hours. That was it. He wasn't bad or
Okay.
anything. He did say I had rat hair though, so I
Rat hair. The fuck
that was a
is
joke, but it
the
was
fuck does that mean?
because I had the bowl cut going, but it was a very much deeper bowl
Does
cut.
that look like a rat to you?
I don't know. He
Does
just
he
wanted to
has
make
he
fun
ever
of me.
seen a rat before?
He he just wanted to make fun of me, probably because I beat him in chair placements.
Probably.
So sophomore year is when I joined marching
Okay.
band, and there was one senior in particular that really inspired me because he was going to go to the school for
Name
music.
drop him. No. No, 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 no. No name dropping. So this
Nah,
mysterious senior.
yeah, he was just very passionate about music,
Okay.
and music's always been like a part of my life. Like my grandma had me sing in church.
Mhm.
I had some like inherent like musical talent. Music ran through my family,
I
stuff
gotcha.
like that.
So you
So
were like
it's
already
kind of
kind of on that, not like pathway, but you
it
you,
was
you
like
were
music had to be a part of my life
yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the senior how passionate he was for music and learning music, I started to want to learn more from him, and I started to want to become like a music teacher or something like that. Obviously, I don't
Yeah.
want to be a music teacher now. No, please.
No?
Um,
You don't want to?
no, no,
No?
I don't like kids.
Okay.
But so then I joined the indoor drum line. I started learning percussion,
Mhm.
like the mallets and the
This is so
sophomore year.
so hold on. So tell me the difference between mallets and a xylophone. I know one is a lot smaller, but is that the
There's
only difference other than the actual like I mean, keep in mind,
I say mallet percussion because that includes xylophone, vibraphone, marimba,
Okay.
glockenspiel.
All right.
All of the things that kind of, I don't know, they have all the different notes like a piano,
Okay.
right? That's what mallet percussion is.
Okay. Okay.
Like,
So
you know how the
there's
piano has like 2 black keys, 3 black keys, and then a bunch of white keys on the
Mhm.
bottom? That's how those things are laid out because they have all these different pitches.
Okay. So
So, like, I could probably play a pretty easy piano piece on the marimba, stuff like that, and vice versa.
Oh, okay. So they're like very similar like keys and like, like pitches of notes, but they're just like a different instrument.
Different instrument, they sound different,
Yeah.
you know? I started on the vibraphone, which are like metal bars.
Okay.
I wanted to move to the marimba, which are like wooden bars.
Wooden bars. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and there's also like different mallet types. Like, I mean, this is kind of boring, but vibraphone, it's metal bars, so you have to have something that hits a little harder.
Okay.
And then xylophone, especially because those bars are even harder and they're thicker
Mhm.
than, like, vibraphone bars were like this thick metal. Xylophone bars were like this thick.
Oh, damn. I didn't realize they were that big of an increase.
Yeah. But they create different like
Yeah.
sounds. So you have to have like a harder mallet and then obviously you have softer ones for the marimba because it's just wood.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
So
The more you know. Nice.
yeah, the more you know.
Thanks for sharing. Um
But I got more passionate about learning about music because he was also in those
I
extracurriculars that I was
gotcha.
doing, all of them.
I gotcha.
So I spent a lot of time with him, and then I started getting excited about music. And then I was like, I think I want to do music. I
Mhm.
tell him that, and my band director's walking by. He's like, have you told the band director yet? And I was like, well, no, because I kind of just decided
Yeah.
this. And then he stops our band director from walking to his office. He's like, hey, Ryan's thinking about doing music, like going to music school. The band director laughs and says, you better start working.
Oh my
He literally like laughed at me.
god.
It was
It's
it was
that's got to
like
be
an
hard though.
embarrassing
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
It
Because
felt very embarrassing because I didn't even want that him to know yet. I
Mhm.
wanted to at least like get my skills up so then when I tell him it like makes more
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. You were like thinking long term and then this senior is like, "Hey man, like he
He
wants."
was just very
Yeah.
excited because I was asking him for different tips. He was teaching me different things. He taught me how to play 4 mallet marimba.
Okay.
So it was like, you know, he was giving me like private lessons for free basically. And then he's just excited about music, telling the band director stuff like that. I don't blame him at
Yeah.
all. But it
Yeah, it
was just
doesn't
like
sound like it was
embarrassing
malicious,
moment.
but it
Well,
I
I
get
mean,
why it would be
the band director
embarrassing.
shouldn't have acted like that,
Yeah,
to be
no.
fair.
Laugh in your face.
Um,
Laugh in a student's face. That's
Especially because, like, jumping to senior real quick, he told everyone that I was a supremely talented individual, that I could do anything that I set my mind to. Like, the contrast between laughing at me and then
well, that's
saying that,
entirely different.
I proved him wrong.
Yeah, no
That
you
was kind of
yeah.
the so things just got busier,
Mhm.
busier and busier, for music.
I gotcha.
I was very excited about it.
I gotcha.
What was, I guess, starting from like freshman year,
Yeah, no,
what kind of things were you doing
it's
after school?
so it's interesting because prior to high school, I did try choir and I also
Okay.
did try percussion. I had a t-
Oh,
I had a
okay.
terrible percussion instructor. Um they were after school. It was like twice a week and I was probably only with her for like a month because like she would like take phone calls like in the middle of practice and would just like leave the room and be like, "All right, you keep practicing." And I'm
She did
just
not give a
and I'm just
fuck.
like sitting there with a practice not
Like
drum,
drum pad?
but a drum pad. Yeah, it's
Hold on, wait. I have
you
one, like
have
literally
one?
right next to me. One of these puppies?
Yes, essentially.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you a drum lesson right now. Your turn.
See? You didn't
Yeah,
hear
you're
it.
trying
You didn't
harder.
hear it because I
Keep
didn't
practicing.
go long enough. Um But like I wanted to be musically inclined because I was always I was always very like interested in music. Like I've always been, I mean, you know this. I've always been
You love music,
I
man.
fucking love the shit out of music. But I didn't really know where to go yet, um and in like middle school, so like fifth to eighth grade, I didn't really do anything after school. I kind of like hung out with friends and then like hung out with my family, and it was that was kind of it. And that's also when I got really big into Minecraft, of course. 2012, you
Hey,
know.
dude, same. That's what I was doing. When I wasn't doing those extracurriculars, I was so into Minecraft, dude.
I was up until high school,
Oh,
which is
okay.
well, no, I think I did still play some Minecraft in eighth grade, but I had switched over to TF2 at that point, and then I got really big into Borderlands. But that's besides the point. Your question was what I decided to do after school. So freshman year, I didn't actually do much other than go home. Um, and then I went to an entirely different school for high school. So I didn't know
That's
anyone
rough.
there. I actually
It's a big change.
no, it was a massive change. And I went from a co-ed public school to a male only private Catholic.
Wow, that's a huge change.
Huge change. Um, hence
How's teenage you dealing with that? Especially in those like teenage years where everything's changing, you know?
it
Like
was
about yourself, and then now you have this whole different environment. How was that
it
like?
was interesting because freshman year, I was a 4'9" freshman.
Nice.
And by senior year, I was 5'10".
That so just big changes
So I
all
literally
around.
grew a foot over high school. Um,
Jesus.
but no, so I didn't really do much freshman year, but sophomore year, my parents actually got like on me because I wasn't like I didn't really do much other than like school and then like work on homework and then just kind of like chill out and like play video games, which I get it. Like I'm not blaming them for what
But
they
like,
did, but they wanted me to like,
hold,
huh,
what were they getting on you about? Because I feel like if your grades are good in high
playing
school
games too
and
much
everything,
and not doing anything with my free time.
like, did they want you to like
They wanted me to like join
have
a
like a side
no, they
hustle?
wanted me to like join a club, or join like a group for after school stuff because um I was gonna do soccer and cross country when I got to high school, but I essentially tore my ACL the year prior. So those were both off the table, and basically any other, you know, school affiliated sport was off the table as well.
I guess it would make sense if like because you were doing extracurriculars in middle school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, in middle school and in elementary school. I mean, I started.
So then when you get to high school and you're not doing anything, I guess they probably thought something was wrong.
Yeah, I don't I don't know what they thought, but I'm glad they did because you know they first wanted me to join some clubs, and I tried to join a bunch of clubs my freshman year. I mean I joined an engineering club, I joined like a
Wow.
robotics club, a chess club, like all of these like you know
You were in chess club?
not fun things, but
You were
interesting
in
things.
chess
Yeah, I was
club?
in a chess club. I know I've played against a grandmaster before, once or twice.
Did you beat him?
No, but I played him.
Why were you even on the club?
What the fuck? I was trying to get there one day, but you know, so I explored all these clubs. Nothing really like screamed my name, and then like I
Yeah, they took attendance very calmly. They were like, "Eli," and you're like, "Ah, no one's screaming my name." So I joined the football team, and then I angered the coach, and he was like, "Eli!"
and I was like, yes, I love it.
You're like, "That's what I
Yeah,
wanted."
no, like none of these clubs were really working out for me. My mom found out that this retirement home was hiring that is literally within walking distance from my high school.
Oh, it was that
It,
close.
it was it was that close, but it was also like at that point I lived 9 minute drive away from school, and work was about 7 minutes away from school. So it was closer to my house than school even was. Um,
Very convenient.
but I started working there in December of my sophomore year, and long story short, I worked there for almost 8 years.
Damn.
Just over the course of college and all of this stuff, but
But starting a long-term job
it
as a teenager in high school.
it definitely, like, at the start I was nervous because I didn't know anyone there, and I was trying to like make friends, and I mean, even still to this day I have a horrible track record of like making and maintaining friendships. I do what I can. A lot of people are to blame. I'm not saying I am not to blame, but I'm just saying
We all have our
a lot of
own
people are to blame,
issues.
yeah.
I think the
Um,
way a lot of people go about relationships is also like not the best way. Communication's always a problem in a
yes,
lot of
in
relationships.
almost every relationship. I know we've
You
talked
know,
about that before.
but that especially over the years, like people you grow up with, everyone's always going to
Yeah,
change.
yeah, no, exactly. So, but yeah, so as a sophomore, I'm this 4'11", little blonde boy, working with a bunch of girls. It was very eye opening to me, just off the bat, interacting with the elderly and these, residents that lived in the community. Like when I was in that position, for some of these residents, the interactions that they got with me, of me just serving them food, was the only interaction they got the entire day.
Dang.
Like some of these people
That's
don't have families. Some of them don't have grandchildren or children at all, and their spouse died. So they're there alone. They have some friends, but you know, for a
it's
good
really hard in like the latter years
it,
of your life
it
because everyone that you've known throughout your life has changed into completely different
or
people.
died.
And the older you get, the harder it is to meet new
Yes.
friends, new people
Ye-
with similar experiences to you because you've had so many.
yes, and that's what I am learning as an adult. Um that is
We're learning.
very difficult.
High five.
No.
Yeah.
but it's interesting because at first I just did the job to get my parents off my back. I was like, all right, fine,
Yeah.
I'll do it.
I'll do something.
Yeah, and then I'd say by junior year, once I had like a car that I could drive full time, like I'd go to school from 6:45 to 2:30 and come home, shower, change. I'd be at work by 3:50 and I would be there until 9. I'd come
Wow.
home, shower, get ready for or get everything ready for school the following day, wake up, get at school 6:45, be there till
Do it all
2:30,
again.
do it all again. And I think I had like 1 or 2 days off in the middle of the week, but I worked the entire weekend. Like I'd get in on Saturday. I'd do like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I'd pull a 12-hour.
Is
And
that even legal?
yeah, because I wasn't because my shifts were only 4 hours during the week.
So the weekends, like, you
So
can just work whatever you want.
well, so not necessarily, but like let's say I work 4 days during the week, that's only 16 hours. As a minor, you're allowed to work up to 35. So I would do like 12 on Saturday, and then I would work like 5 on Sunday. So I hit my cap. So I'd be in school 40 hours a week and I'd be working 35.
That's insane.
And that was just junior year, and then
That's 2 nearly full-time
mhm.
jobs.
Mhm. And that
Plus, on top of the stuff that you have to do for school, homework and stuff like that, like keeping up your grades and everything.
oh, I kept up my grades. My grades
No,
were
I'm saying, like, on top of everything else that you have
Oh
to
yeah.
do, keeping up with the grades, that's more hours, that's more time,
And
and then
somehow
and then trying to have, like, friendships, relationships, that must have been really hard to
It was
manage all
it
that.
was I wouldn't say it was difficult really. Um
It's
because
just easy
I
for me.
huh
It's just easy for me. What can I
no,
say?
no, it wasn't easy, but it was a lot easier because a lot of the friendships that I made throughout high school were my coworkers. Because a lot of the
Uh,
guys that I went to high school with are fucking assholes, and they always have been, and probably always will. A lot of individuals I would not want to affiliate myself with, based on
no, I
their
feel that.
views and their beliefs and how they treat other people. It's just that's just not mine. I mean, I think by now that I'm very selective when it comes to the people I affiliate myself with.
But no, I feel you on that because we had kind of a shared experience with people that we would never want to affiliate with when we were moving in together.
Mm. It's a long story. I'm not going to get into it right now, but it is a
Not
fun
not
another
another time.
episode.
We're
But
talking about high school right
we are
now. We'll get to college
yes,
later.
yeah, no, we'll get to college later. Like all in all, my like me working really brought me out of my shell, because prior to
Okay.
high school, I mainly, kept to myself. I had a few close friends, but outside of that, I didn't really do much other than like, play sports and like be with my family. So I'd meet a lot of new people, but I wasn't hanging out with a lot of people on a regular basis. Um,
Yeah, and doing this stuff, especially at a retirement home, it's like your whole job is to interact with people.
it's hospitality. I'm like, my whole job is to be a nice person in the room, is to be, you know, caring for these residents, and like, I
To be
can
there for people.
make
I
I
mean, I think it's probably a really good practice to have, especially in those formative years, to really care for people, to have that perspective change. It's like, oh, like people need me, and
Mhm.
I'm doing good by people.
Yeah.
I'm sure that felt really good in those formative years. Like, oh, I'm making a difference in these
Yeah.
people's lives.
Yeah. No, 100%. And like for me personally, um, it was so much more valuable for me versus some of my coworkers, because I lost both of my grandparents at age 6 and 11, I think. So
Very
and
young.
my father's parents died before my mother even met him.
Wow.
So or well, my dad's mom died when he was young, and shortly after my dad got married, I think my his dad passed away. So I didn't meet either of his parents. So I had no grandparents on that side, and then my mom's parents died pretty, you know, in my first 10 years on Earth.
Yeah.
So
So you had no real experience with like the elderly, basically.
yeah, I mean, it was like
I'm sure some throughout your childhood, but like nothing like this, like
y-
and on a regular
yeah,
basis.
no, and like I very quickly formed relationships with some of these residents that I would see every night. I like, they would ask me about my day and how my family's doing, and like, just
That's
have a
nice.
genuine conversation with me, and I would with them as well. Um just very, caring individuals for the most part. There were definitely quite a few
There's definitely some
who were
bitter
entitled
old
and bitter,
people,
yeah. But I didn't really
but the
let a lot of that get to me. I just kind of I don't know. It was the experience for me. Um it was like I'm helping them, and they're helping me. So it was a two-way street. Um
yeah.
but it
I mean,
definitely
forming
opened.
relationships is definitely. I mean, it's an eye-opening
That's
experience,
yeah,
especially with people who have
exactly what I was going to
experienced so
say.
much life.
Yeah.
You have a lot of wisdom that you can take, little bits, and especially the people that are grateful. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, this is how I want to be when I'm in their shoes when I'm older.
Yeah.
I want to be a grateful, nice person.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I don't know, it's just like that's honestly all I did throughout high school. Because I started making money, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it proved to be worthwhile. I'm debt free after 4 years of college, so
Yeah,
I
you worked your ass
I
off to like save up. You were very financially responsible throughout high school, throughout like being a teenager,
hmm
which most people cannot say they've done. And then now you're debt free as an adult because of the work that you did in your younger years,
hmm
and you got to go to college on like your own dime. It's very
I
impressive.
mean, like I had help, but a lot of most of the money that I made working there was to save for after college. And
Yeah.
when I was in college, we experienced some financial changes in my family, so I ended up having to pool a majority of that money that I made through high school, and by uh by my last payment date, I think I had like $152 left in that account. Um
Wow.
which is unfortunate because the primary goal for me was to use the money I had saved from high school to buy a car out of college or to buy, a place out of college. And I didn't have that, so, it did
Yeah.
force me um to work over break, and like, anytime I had chances to work, I was working. Um but no, definitely grateful for everyone who was in my life at that point to allow me to do that.
Yeah, man. Because you worked a lot of hours.
hmm
You did a lot. What made you want to do so much? Like going from like you said do nothing after school basically to doing 70 hours a week basically of work, and then on top of that like, having relationships outside of your job and everything, like managing all that. What made you want to make a sudden shift, I guess?
Mm, I think it was multiple factors. One of which was my parents forcing me to do it, which is
That'll,
just because
that'll do it.
I'm a stubborn asshole, so sometimes I don't really want to move. Um, but like that was a big part of it. But I kind of like fell in love with the grind set. And I know that makes me
Yeah.
that makes me sound like a fucking douche, but
I'm
like
just in love with the fucking
grind
grind,
set,
man.
dude. No, but like just having that like type of structure in my day to day, and like adding
Consistency.
that routine,
Yeah.
and like adding that work block to my schedule. It was just not mind boggling, but it changed my mindset because I was like, all right, well, I go to school for my education, and then I go to work after school to better my future, to make money,
For your education.
yeah, for my education. But
You're like a doomsday prepper.
yeah, and and I think the staff definitely was probably 80% of the reason that I kept coming back, was the coworkers that I had and the boss that I had. And then after like year 6, because when I was in college, I didn't work like I didn't work like throughout the semester, but anytime it was holidays or we didn't have school, I would go home and work for them because I got great pay, and my boss at the time, I mean, he would let me, not work for 4 months, while I'm at school, and then the moment I get back in town, all I had to do was text him and be like, "Hey, can you put me on the schedule?" And he'd be like, "You got it. See you tomorrow." You know,
That's really nice.
Extremely flexible. So like without him, I most certainly would not have been able to, exceed as well as I did. Um,
Yeah. It also speaks volumes to like what you did for the place. I mean, your
oh,
work
I
ethic had to be good,
I
otherwise they
kept
wouldn't
it.
want you
I
back.
kept that shit in check. Mark my fucking word, Ryan. I would joke. I joked for 3 years about me leaving while I was in college. I started joking around freshman year of college, like, I don't know what you guys are gonna do when I leave, and they're like, "You're not leaving. You're graduating. You're coming back here." And I'm like, "That's funny you think that."
You're gonna graduate with what degree? Like that? Like just in like, graphic design and everything. You're like, I'm coming back to the retirement
Funnily
home.
enough, I actually did end up having to work there for a month or two post graduation, but that was just before I was finding a place to live.
I
Um,
mean, that's like a month or two, but it's like they expected you to
but
like be there forever after you get like graphic design
but
and you come
I
back to the retirement
e-
home. It's
e-
like that doesn't really like why would I get the graphic design degree if I wasn't going to
why
do
would I get
anything
a
with it,
degree at all if I was just going to come back and work at a retirement home?
Why go to college at all?
Precisely. It was more of like a family vibe, which rubs a lot of people the wrong way when they're talking about a workplace. But I'd
I
say
mean, if you
I'd
have
say
like
my first 5 years there, it was it was like we were part of a team and everyone cared about each other and like would help each other out if they needed help, even in their personal life, even if it was non-work related. Everyone was very like close knit. Um,
that just sounds like a healthy work environment.
it was, and then towards the end, management changed, and some unfortunate like things happened, and it wasn't my place anymore. I'm glad I left when I did because they because for 7 years I worked my ass off to get these raises. I got like two raises every year because of my work,
Wow.
and because they hired me you know, back when I was a sophomore at minimum wage starting. And by the
Yeah.
time I left, that number basically doubled. I was able to get them to like give me that amount. And when I left, they were starting to hire servers on at that, or like 50 cents or 75 cents lower. They started to hire servers on as starting pay. But
Wow.
I had worked my absolute fucking shit off to get,
To
16.50 an
get the pay that
hour.
they're starting at.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I started at 8.25, and when I left I was at 16.50. So literally double.
Wow. That's crazy. And then
And then they were
you see
starting
people getting hired on
hired on at
at the pay that you worked
hired
your
on at
ass off for,
14.90.
and you're just
And
like,
I'm
what
like,
the fuck?
"No." Like and they were high schoolers that were being hired on at 14.90.
And you
And
in high
and,
school
and
got 850.
yes. Yes. But
That's some
I
BS.
don't know, yeah. Um but they that community taught me so much on how to live my life and what things are important. So I'm always gonna you know appreciate them for what they are.
You had a good experience there.
Yeah,
There's
it
obviously
was.
going to be issues with everything, but at least you got like at least you changed as a person for the better with
Yeah,
that
yeah,
experience.
yeah. No, I
That's
I
what really
I
matters.
definitely did. Um, do you feel like with your after school activities, like with doing the practice and like all of the clubs and groups you were a part of, how do you think that affected like where you are now, or like did it
Um,
shape where you are now, or something
it
else happened?
definitely shaped where I am. I worked my ass off, and I think when I was starting to feel the effects of the trauma in my childhood,
Hmm.
I had to find some escape for the pain,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, that makes sense.
That's when like my mental health issues started,
Yeah.
and I had to, find some way to distract myself.
Hmm.
So I constantly ramped up the work. And when I decided I wanted to do music, I also started practicing like not just the pieces that I was doing in the classes and the clubs, because I would always practice those to get them absolutely perfect if I could.
Yeah.
But then I'm starting to practice other stuff. I'm starting to learn music terms. I'm starting to learn about different instruments and stuff like that. Over the summer, I would get in calls with a friend who also wanted to do music, and we would go quiz each other on like different music terms and stuff like
Oh,
that
okay.
over the summer. And I started to get on this like grind set as well. In like my sophomore year of high school, I got on the call every day with my friend, and we would always do homework together, learn as much as we possibly could. Um, because I think near the beginning of when I joined marching band, my grades were shit.
Oh,
My
wow.
grades, Yeah, it's not that I didn't understand the subject matter being taught. I just did not want to do that work.
Mm-hmm.
But marching bands gave me a reason to keep my grades up.
Okay.
Um, and then I had pretty much straight A's after that. And forming those relationships, getting into like a good friend group, kind of similar to what you did, because we worked a lot, we practiced a lot, we were always in the music room, even if the practice wasn't happening, because
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't start immediately after school.
Yeah.
So we'd have time to just talk, to just form relationships, to get windies together all the time.
Yeah.
And to I'd use that time to practice, and I would use all these things as an excuse to stay out of the house as much as possible, because home life was not
It's not
good.
ideal. Yeah.
I lived in a very filthy, hoarder-esque environment, with like mold and shit on the walls, and it was very unhealthy experience. Like my dad, he picked up some of my childhood stuff from that place, um, and there was like chewed up, like, I don't know, rat bite marks and rat shit and stuff like that. I had to wipe all my stuff down with like disinfectant wipes and stuff like that.
Ew.
Yeah.
Damn. I'm
My
sorry,
room was
man.
the only clean My room was like the only pretty much clean room in the house.
Gee.
And then everything else was just shit.
I
I
can,
think
I
I
can see why
paid
you would
a
want to get out
I was
and
very isolated.
separate yourself from that.
Yeah, I was very isolated, told to stay in my room and stuff, but she can't tell me to stay in my room if I am gone, if I'm out of the house, if
Exactly.
I'm driving around with my friends, if I'm, hanging out with my girlfriend at the time, if I'm at the high school in the band room practicing constantly until the band directors leave and lock up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of the mindset. I wanted to prepare for music school. I knew I was behind. I wasn't even first chair in the band, so it's like, okay, cool. But over time, people's opinions about me as a musician started to change because of how much work I was putting in. Even then, like the band director that laughed at me and said, "You better start working." After one winter season that year of drumline,
Mm-hmm.
literally the same like
The same year that
school
he
year.
laughed at you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then when marching band was starting up the next year, he said, you know, he's like calling me into his office, and he's an intimidating guy. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
So were you
so it's like, oh
you were
shit,
you were
what did
scared
I
at
do?
first? Yeah.
I was very scared. He's very intimidating, shorter man.
Oh, terrifying.
Yeah. So then I'm like, oh shit, what did I do? What did I do? I don't know if he had me shut the door or everything, but it was very one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, listen, man, I'm practically begging you. Can you please play mallet percussion during the marching band season?
Wow.
Because my first year of marching band, I marched on the trombone.
Okay. Okay.
We did like a football show for the crowd, and then we did a competition show that we went and competed
Okay.
against
Okay.
different marching
So
bands.
what made him want you to, or what made him ask you to do mallets? Did he see you do mallets, or were you
So I
doing
did the
trombone?
indoor drum line that winter season.
Oh,
So
okay.
like
Okay. I gotcha.
it was summer, kind of going to the fall, or it was kind of fall, summer, where he laughed and said, "Oh, you better get working." I did a winter season of drumline, and then the next, I guess, summer or start of marching band season,
Mm-hmm.
I assumed I was doing trombone because that's what I did the year before.
Mm.
But then he's like, "I need you to do mallet percussion," because for one, they didn't really have anybody to do it. They had to scrounge together some people to get it done because the seniors graduated,
Yeah. Yeah. And they,
and they were a huge part of the pit percussion.
I feel it.
So then they had to find people to take those places. And I got the most improved award during the winter drumline season. Overall, the other percussionists in the
Oh,
group,
nice.
I got the most improved award because I went from not even knowing how to hold the fucking things.
Yeah.
I literally I held the sticks like this. I had my finger there because for some reason, I thought it would give me more stability. I stuck my fucking
Even
finger
I know
out,
that. Even I know that,
and
Ryan.
I would like hit like this. And by the end, I had very good mallet technique, and I was learning 4 mallet marimba.
Oh, I love that, man.
Huge like difference because I grind in that shit. And then throughout my junior and senior year, I would even show up to school early, go through the choir doors to get to the band room because it wasn't unlocked yet. Because the band directors taught at the middle school before they came to the high school at the end of the day. But the choir teacher was always there, so I would go into the band room before school started, sneak into the percussion closet, and practice.
Okay.
On the marimbas in the dark.
In the dark?
Because again, like everything was locked up and everything.
I can't see in the dark.
Yeah, right. Sucks for you. So it gave me a discipline.
Okay.
That I didn't have in my life before that. And then practicing for music school, I honestly could have gone to school for percussion, especially seeing some of the percussionists that I saw in college.
Were they just not impressive?
Yeah. Literally, again, when the directors in college ask you to fill in a percussion part, for a concert, they've never seen me play percussion, but they just know I'm in percussion lessons in college, some percussion lessons. It was very chill
They
thing.
just wanted you to fill in for someone else who wasn't there?
It was to like play a part that they needed for a piece, and I got like, 1 session to practice. And I had all these other things I was juggling in college, so it was like, okay, like they wanted someone who could just pick it up and play.
Yeah. And were you that
so
person?
Well, again, it wasn't like an often thing, but it was like the fact that I'm even asked when there are percussionists that are there majoring in that could fill in, and it's like I want to ask Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's more of like a personal attack on those percussion players of their instructor literally being like, I think Ryan can do your part tonight. Don't worry about it. It's just like, what? I've been practicing this piece for 4 months. He's like, yeah,
no,
Ryan,
no. I
Ryan's
wasn't
got
like
it. Ryan's got it.
I wasn't taking it from someone that already practiced it. It was just like we get new pieces and stuff all the time in college.
No, I know.
So it was like for this one,
I
I needed someone to fill in. But so I practiced percussion so much. I also practiced trombone a lot because junior and senior year, I was in this class called Jazz Improv and Rock.
I think I remember you telling me about this.
And that was when I unlocked my true, I guess, passion and love for music.
Okay.
Because learning how to improv on an instrument is such a pure way to express yourself.
I'm sure it is.
Obviously, you learn your scales and stuff like that, and you learn what sounds good on different chords. But then you're just off the top of your dome. You're practicing, and you're shooting out a jazz solo.
Yeah, I wouldn't know where to start with that.
Yeah, and to do that as a high schooler, it's like, holy shit! Like, I finally have a way to express these pent up emotions I was having.
Yeah.
I remember a few times I had like solos where like I would close my eyes and just play, and then I would open my eyes and everyone's like looking at me like, oh fuck. Like it was just like so beautiful in a sense. It was such a pure expression of who I am, and gaining those skills was really developmental for my skills as a trombone player. Because before I was just playing what's on the page, very rigid and stuff like that. But you can't be rigid when you're improvising.
No.
You got to just go.
You just got to do it.
You got to just do whatever comes to your mind. It's almost like speaking a different language.
Yeah. And
so that was really where I was like, oh, I love this. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Because I couldn't relate it to like, oh, I needed to express my emotions. It was like, oh, I love this so much. I just feel so good when I do this.
Yeah.
No, and that's when I got a lot. That's when I got a lot better at an instrument. Because I had a whole new perspective on that kind of discipline. You're disciplined in the aspect of like practicing everything that you need to perfection. And now I'm disciplined
and like creating and like like developing yourself into the best version that you can possibly be at the moment, you know?
For this specific piece,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
But then you have to just be a good overall musician to be able to improv and make ideas and express them properly. Oh, like, on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
You don't plan these solos out. We just do them.
Yeah.
And something else I realized was like, I especially with jazz, I think I work pretty well under pressure. Because when it came to like our jazz concerts at the end of the year,
Mm-hmm.
where the jazz band would perform and the jazz improv would perform, I was in both groups for those 2 years. And so I think the first year, junior year, I had 10 or 11 improv solos that night,
Wow.
which is like
That
crazy.
is crazy. That sounds crazy.
Especially as a high schooler.
Yeah.
Insane.
No, that is insane.
Because I had them in the improv class, and then I also had them in the jazz band.
Okay.
Because there are jazz solos that happen in big bands type of settings. And since I was the only trombonist in the jazz improv, they would ask me they would ask the first chair trombone player, "Can we just give the solo to Ryan because he's in the improv class and it's an improv solo?"
So
And
they
my
just
friend was so cool about it. Like he was like, "Oh, for sure, yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
give it to him."
That's good.
Like there was no like, "Oh, I hate you because you're taking my improv." It's like, nah, he was very very good about it.
I like that. That's
Um,
definitely
yeah,
makes a difference.
he's an amazing human being. But so just having all that responsibility thrown on me and that discipline, it changed me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I worked my ass off. It gave me excuses to get out of the house. I had a way to express my emotions. Was it hard to manage? Yes. Because I practiced so much, especially leading up to college.
Yeah.
I put so much pressure on myself. I had dreams of like going to college and then like moving to New York and like being a performer and stuff like that. Like that's the type of pressure I was putting on myself to get better.
Yeah.
Even though while I have some music inclinations and some natural talent, I'm not like this prodigy that, that started playing an instrument at like 3 years old,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You put in the work
Though
though to get to where you were. So
I felt like I was
it
always behind.
yeah.
Especially because at trombone specifically, I was not naturally like talented at all.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have like the face shape
Mm-hmm.
that would make me better at it, and I just wasn't naturally talented at like much in music besides my singing voice. But of course, I didn't do choir.
So things could have panned out a lot differently if you had done choir instead of
Yeah, because you've heard me sing.
yeah.
I
You
got a
can
pretty good
sing.
voice,
You got a good voice.
and
Yeah.
that's without any like formal like teachings or anything.
Yeah. So
You
just
know,
think about what you could have done with teaching.
yeah, I think back then, especially, I had this like mindset where it was like especially because I was forced to sing kind of in church with my grandma,
Mm-hmm.
sing pieces I didn't really like or anything, and I didn't want to slack off. And doing something that you're not as good at or not naturally talented in, and having to outwork other people to get ahead, that was more appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to be better than you, even if you're talented, because of how hard I work.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an ego thing, but that was the mindset back then. I had that competitive spirit,
I mean, they're all
and
great qualities that it sounds like have shaped you into the man you are today. So definitely
yeah,
like a worthwhile experience. I mean, regardless of how it panned out, it's
yeah,
still
it,
beneficial.
yeah. It definitely shaped me as a person, and it got me away from a terrible home life.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like it was almost needed,
It
right?
was very much needed. I needed something, and I'm not like a sports guy. I'm not very good at sports, and so doing music like that was the next best thing. I am proud of it,
Yeah.
But it was also the reason I was doing it was to run away and not to deal with the issues I was dealing with at the time, which led me to be not the greatest person in the world. I'm not going to say I was a bad person. I was definitely nice and jokey and people liked me.
But I
But I
mean,
definitely
you were dealing with a lot of stuff at home.
yeah,
So, you
I
know,
was definitely, I had to deal with a
there's
lot. And those formative years, like, I don't know, I didn't really get to be a kid.
yeah.
And so, like I told you previously, I was very mature in some ways, like extremely mature for my age in
Mhm.
some ways, and in other ways I was extremely underdeveloped because I didn't have proper guidance from like parents and stuff like that. So I was a very unbalanced
Yeah.
person. And that did affect relationships I had with my friends, partners, family.
The ability to reflect is something that I've recently learned, just like how powerful it is.
Oh yeah,
Just like being like having the ability to look back on past experiences and be like, that taught me this, that taught me this, that taught me
yeah.
never to trust anyone who works at Popeyes. um it's just
um,
like there's
and
yeah,
well,
experiences all
doing
come with lessons.
and it's very hard to reflect when when you're in it,
Hmm.
when you're in the midst of doing all this work, working yourself to the absolute bone to where you pass out. Especially like in college too, sometimes I would almost fall over on the way home because of how exhausted I worked myself to the bone.
Yeah, I know.
Because escaping, I told you all my work ramped up, and that didn't stop in college. It only kind of got worse.
Yeah.
But it's only when you stop and take a step back from it all that you could acknowledge the things you've done, give yourself some appreciation, and then also acknowledge what you've learned from it all. Soak it all in. I hear about like musicians that go to college, work their ass off, and then they don't process all the things they were taught until years after. They'd be like, "Oh, I finally understand why my instructor said this thing." 2 years later, after you're out of college,
Hmm. Hmm.
you're just like, "Holy shit!" Because taking time to process takes a very long time. Therapy.
Yeah, no, that's what therapy's for. That's what therapy's for. Just having someone to like talk about your emotions with is just so
and,
healthy.
and and for someone like, because some of the situations I wouldn't recognize as bad too. For me to
Mm.
like say something, I've said things to you probably in this in this episode where you're like, "What the fuck? Holy shit, are you okay?"
No, I know you. I know you. I know what your words mean. Every single one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Every.
What about this one?
It means you're ready for the episode to be over. Do you have anything? Do you have anything else you want to add to the end of this episode
Um,
in reflection?
and I think that should be the lesson from all this. Don't get so caught up in the grind that you don't stop and reflect upon the things that you've experienced and learned from them. You can always learn something new from reflecting on something over and over again. Like there are always new things to learn from your experiences, and it will make you a better person, a
Mm-hmm.
more developed person, and a more emotionally intelligent one.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's
Go ahead and
awesome.
try though.
Huh? No. I just
I want to hear you
I
try.
pull up the transcript and I'm like, looking back.
You get like a whole different voice too.
I somehow just sound exactly like you all of a sudden.
I'm like, what?
You
What?
think it's
What?
your recording?
You start
Uh,
start getting the bowl cut.
all in real time.
um,
Good stuff though.
very
It was,
very good
it was
episode.
a good episode. It was good. Do you wanna?
I think
You
we
wanna
learned a lot about each other in
yeah.
this.
No, I think we did. Do you wanna
So
take us out?
I'll take us out.
There we
Thank
go.
you all so much for listening and watching the TNC podcast. We're very thankful for anyone who tunes in for any amount of time, honestly. If you have some opinions or some reflections, please throw them in the comments or like throw them to our socials. We definitely
DM us. We want to hear.
We want to see, what people think about their experiences and how maybe it relates to what we've been talking about. Check out all my links. It has links to all our socials.
allmylinks.com/TNC
Hell yeah. And, if you like what you're listening to or hearing, make sure you hit us with a follow or subscribe, depending on where you're hearing this at. And that's it. Have a great day, everybody.
Peace out.
Peace.